very well.
It's Friday!
Finally made it. Oh my god.
Woohoo! Awesome!
It's been a rough week.
A long week and a long weekend.
Yes, exactly.
Got to love that.
So how have you been?
I've been very good, very good. Things are, coming along with life and stuff and voice work and what have you. But no, I have to say, September is starting off with a bang. So we like that.
Perfect.
Yes. And how's about you?
Good. Actually, yeah, this week's been a little rough with month end and stuff, but...
Oh, okay, I see.
It's whatever. Typical month end baloney.
Oh, yeah, I hear you.
All right.
Good time.
But I'm ready now. I'm in my car.
Okay.
So, I'm going to keep all that stuff in.
Actually,
why not?
I'm actually in my car as well.
Are you? Awesome.
Yes, yes, so we're both on the road.
Awesome.
OTR, and I know you love your acronyms. OTR, baby!
Yep.
Like, shut up.
That's awesome. Oh, man.
Oh, it's so funny. So what is the topic today? What are we talking about?
I don't know here. Let's see. I've got lists here, so let's see what I got off my list here before I start driving.
Yes, please. One thing at a time.
So, okay. So, yeah, I think we're going to do this one.
Okay.
So the name for the podcast today is Rock is Dead and No One Cares.
Okay.
So, the reason I'm going with that one is because Mr. Big Mouth himself.
Oh, let's see here. Who could you be talking about? I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say, Gene Simmons?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I thought you'd be referring to that,
that
article.
Yeah. Now, I did talk about this before on the podcast. Actually, probably more than once, actually. It was probably one of my first topics I talked about in, season 1. But the reason this came up before was because of the D. Snider podcast that I used to listen to, which I highly recommend. It was incredibly entertaining. It was really, really good. And he stopped doing it. I don't know why.
Oh, he's very well read. He's very enlightened. He's a very smart gentleman. I'm referring to D. Snider at this point, not the former,
the other guy.
Not the other guy.
So
shall remain nameless. Yes.
So the reason that this came up again is because D. Snider was on the Eddie Trunk podcast, or on Sirius XM.
Yes.
Very, very recently.
Okay.
It was him, Stephen Piercy, and
really?
Robert Mason.
Okay.
Who was the singer for... Sorry,
Warrant.
Who is it? Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. I'm all up on that crazy rock and roll stuff.
Yeah. Apparently, this guy's a good vocalist. So after
he is
that,
awesome.
Is he? Is he really that good?
Yeah. Well, he actually was the second singer for Lynch Mob.
Yes, that came up in the interview as well. Yes. And what else did he do?
What else did he do? Well, actually, it's funny you should talk about it because I was actually listening to an interview with Robert Mason, and he was talking about how he became part of the band and how he was following and the whole situation with Janie Lane at the time.
Oh, okay.
And he really went in depth with how it came about that he became the lead singer for Warrant. And I have to say, Rockaholica is really good.
Is that
that's their second to last album, Warrant. I mean, I know we're getting off topic.
Warrant album. Yeah, I think I gotta go. You know what? To be honest, I think I gotta go check some of this guy's stuff out. If only because this guy is super effing nice.
Yes, he really is.
A real sweetheart of a guy. Like he seems I'd go hang out with this guy in a second.
He seems like a really straight up, just nice dude that you would want to go and have a drink with and just chill. And he's like just salt of the earth type of guy. That's definitely what I picked up too from the interview. Really nice guy.
Yeah. The other thing that came up was his he did vocals for Ozzy.
Shut the front door.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
On the Osmosis tour. So they kept him hidden behind stage kind of to beef up Ozzy's vocals. Sort of like a background vocalist, I guess.
Yes. Okay.
But they don't have... I guess the band doesn't always provide great background vocals, so sometimes you'll put a backup guy behind.
Interesting.
And, the whole story behind that's really good. I really recommend checking out the Eddie Trunk podcast with that interview with those three guys. It's really good. But anyway, so the topic at hand.
Yeah, so D. Roberts Mason and
Stephen Piercy.
Stephen Piercy were all part of this. Okay, what were they saying?
Yeah, it was really, really good. So I guess we could talk about that, or you could just go listen. Our listeners could
our
actually
listeners,
just go,
listenership,
could go listen to it.
Yes.
I will actually put a link to the podcast. It was actually a very good set of interviews.
Eddie Trunk is very he knows his stuff. He's been around for ages, it's the very beginning.
I think. He actually formed. What's the record label? A record label in the 80s. I can't remember what it's called. It's gonna bug me. I can't remember. But that was a record label that signed Ace Frehley after he quit Ace. After he quit Kiss.
Okay. Yes. And which brings us back around to Kiss, which brings us back around to Gene Simmons. I know, eh?
Yes.
You segueing left, right, and center.
That's right. Like I knew what I was doing.
Sure you did.
That's what I meant to do. That's exactly how that was meant to look.
Exactly. Yes. That's exactly how I wanted it to look, and yes, I planned it all along. So yeah. So
the Rock is Dead conversation actually really pisses me off.
Yeah.
Because
it's your craw.
Well, yes, so the idea is that Gene and Dee Snider was saying the same thing too.
Okay.
And they were complaining that there's no point in making an album anymore. No one cares, blah, blah, blah. You can't get paid off of albums, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, that's
it is a growing concern, sure. You can't get paid off music the old way anymore.
No, exactly, because you can just easily access to it on any social media platform, pretty much, and get it for free. So, which was not the case, 30 years ago.
Exactly. So, I'm really curious what your perspective is on this, and if you know this part. But more than 30 years ago. Let's say back in I guess it would be 40s, 50s, 60s, when they were pressing 45s, which is, what are they called? 45s are EPs, LPs, not LPs.
Oh, there's LPs, and there's long playing, extended, I think it's extended play, but the 45s.
Yeah,
the 45s and the 78s, yes.
So back in the day, kids, they used to press something called vinyl.
Actually, vinyl has made a resurgence, by the way.
It is. Big time.
Yes, all of the kids are going crazy. They want a turntable.
Exactly.
But they don't know how to use it. Anyways, I'm going on a tangent. But let's get back to the matter at hand.
So back in the day when 45s were pressed, they were actually created as promotional items. And the whole idea behind a record coming out of 45 or even an LP at the time was free promotional giveaways.
Interesting.
Purposely to attract people to come see a show, because that is where the money is made. So they were not meant to be money makers as a direct money maker item. They were there to drum.
They were a
up
marketing
ticket sales.
tool, like a marketing tool.
Exactly. Marketing tools are always free and should always be free.
Oh, yes.
But later, people were clamoring for these things because there was limited numbers that were given out, and then people really wanted, because they want to I want to listen to this at home.
Right,
so
exactly.
they're like, hey, we can make money off of this directly instead of indirectly. And that's
an offshoot.
Exactly. So then the market adjusted, and people got greedy and said, hey, we can make money off this concert performance twice by getting people to
industry?
Go. Yeah.
Be greedy? Shut up.
I know. It's hard to believe. So, what's your 2 cents on that?
Oh, my. Well, I mean, in what capacity? And, just because, it's been done before. But I guess it's so... I guess what your question is, basically, music was available free, but only to select people at the time, only to radio stations. And
well, not just the radio stations. They would have giveaways that they would give to fans to drum up business. The radio stations would give them away. So the radio station was the distribution part of it, I'm guessing.
Okay, but I mean, essentially, the volume wasn't there. Like, I mean, there was only a select amount of a limited amount of pressed 45s, and once they were out, they were out.
Yes, exactly.
Out at a click of a button. So you can have access to their whole library.
Yes.
So the situation back in the 40s and 50s is not exactly the same as it is today.
No.
And so because of the advent of social media and what it's done, I think it's caused a lot of difficulty for the music industry and for a lot of industries, actually. Like for, the movie industry and TV and I mean anything entertainment wise. You have the whole situation with the pirates, the pirating that access illegal content and but anyways, I do have to agree in a certain capacity that it's not the same ball game anymore because it's just so readily accessible. I mean, anyone with a computer can go and get the whole discography of somebody and pay not one red cent.
Yes.
So, but I'm guessing that was Gene Simmons's argument, was it not? Like,
yes.
Just because it's dead?
Yeah. So that was his argument. So
right.
Being now kind of not in the music industry, but the music business or whatever you want to call what our band does, I've got a little bit different perspective now because I go see a lot of independent bands.
Right.
And here's how the industry, because the industry has changed the way it has, here is the impact it's had on independent bands. As a band now, you kind of have to multitask a bit and learn the business side of it and do it yourself instead of going through a record label and pressing CDs, all that stuff. You're doing all that stuff yourself. But here's the difference is that because the industry has changed the way it has, and here's my perspective, so take it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Is that because the industry was the way it was, that a new model started forming, a new business model started forming to prevent bands from getting screwed over. And that helped push the whole idea of bands have to look after themselves if they want to make any money. You hear the story of so many bands that, I sold 10 million albums and I am bankrupt. Like, you hear this all the time. So my point is that because of the greed of the record labels and wanting to make money off of everything and not paying the artist appropriately because they're too top heavy management wise.
Correct, yes.
The industry corrected itself because it couldn't exist the way it was forever. Now, some of those artists that figured out the scheme of it and found ways to negotiate better record deals, better percentage pays, and all that sort of stuff, like bands like Kiss and Twisted Sister, like all the giants. Then like those guys were always good. They figured out how to work the music industry to their advantage.
Would you say that they had already built up, though, kind of a business for themselves because of they came out before a time where there was social media, before like Kiss and Rat and Twisted Sister, they kind of went through the old system.
Right.
So, but now it's a matter of keeping the numbers coming, like and thinking outside the box and having a different kind of approach to releasing their material, and also, like, these bands are doing a lot of these kind of country fairs or whatever, or just like I think it's called Triple M, which is a music festival, and just there's all kinds of like these 80s resurgence of these 80s bands that are playing all over the country because they need to get their new music out. But I mean, again, I'm going off on a tangent because if you go to these country fair concerts and the band says, okay, we're going to play everything off of our new album. Yeah, do you think that's going to go over?
No, it won't.
Well, not so much. So it's kind of difficult, I think, like being in the business these days and trying to make a name for yourself. But I mean, like, local bands are definitely the lifeblood, and they're the next generation. But it must be very frustrating, I can only assume, because of, one person records your show online, or that records your show live, puts it online, and then your music is out there for the masses for good or bad. Because bootlegging has always been a problem. I mean, since we've had recording material, there's all kinds of bootlegs out there.
Yes. Different
qualities of bootlegs. But anyways, it's very I don't envy people that are trying to get into the music industry and who have like this passion and this love for the music, but just it's difficult to get your name out there and to get butts in the seats and to get your CD sold and yeah.
So here's my my rebuttal to that is that I find that I'm actually home and my wife's right next to me.
Oh, okay.
That's awesome. Anyway, so my rebuttal to this, which I covered in the last episode, I won't go into super detail, but go back and listen to it, guys, was that because the music industry changed, the new bands coming out now have found ways to make money in the new scheme by doing their own promotion. And a lot of these bands are actually playing their full albums live, and that's what people want to hear, new music. Bands that have been around for 10 or 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So how are they able to do that? Because they are good at the social media thing. And really, the idea is if you want bands to hear your new stuff, you can't use the old formula. You got to use the new formula.
Yes, that's true.
So that's what I'm just saying. I don't think rock's dead. I just think you have to learn how to work the new machine that is the music industry now.
I completely agree with that. That is, it's not the same game it used to be, and you have to be one step ahead of things. And definitely those who know how to work the machine, as you said, are going to be ever so more successful at it. So I definitely tip my hat to those who can work the social media aspect and the marketing aspect in the 21st century.
Like, I guess the best example I got is when Radiohead had a new album that came out and they released it for free online first.
Yes.
And then, I don't know, a month or two later, it shipped platinum.
Wow. Kind of thumbing their nose to the music industry, the execs, the music business industry, should I say?
Yeah.
And kind of saying, like, guess what? we're in charge of our own music, and we're gonna do what we want with it.
I'm in a wind tunnel here.
I see that.
Anyway, so that's what I want to talk about. So I'm home. I'm gonna let you go.
Excellent. Well, thank you. Let the listeners go, and thank you once again so much to have me part of your podcast sandbox, as I like to call it, playing in a sandbox. And but thank you much for everything, and it's just so cool to talk music and stuff. So, anyways, but other than that, we'll see you in another. We'll hear you in another podcast.
Yes, we'll put this episode up on Saturday.
Good stuff. All right, so then I guess we'll see you on the flip side.
Yes, we will. Awesome.
All
Talk to you later.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.